in the previous lecture what we did was we started with the full many body Hamiltonian, and from this we made two approximations. The first approximation was the Born-Oppenheimer approximation, also known as the adiabatic approximation for reasons I have mentioned in the lecture. And then the second approximation we did was what we call the independent particle approximation, also called IPA. It is also the orbital approximation that one is dealing with, and with the first approximation, which is a Born-Oppenheimer approximation, we were able to freeze the nuclei and take the nuclear degrees of freedom out of the problem. And in the second approximation, what we were able to do was, instead of dealing with a many electron approximation, we could deal with a single electron Hamiltonian instead of dealing with a many electron Hamiltonian. Now, in the case of the Born-Oppenheimer approximation, we also showed that the error involved is rather small. It is of the order of the mass of the electron to mass of the nuclear system multiplied by the kinetic energy of the electrons, which usually is of the order of 10 to the minus 5 to 10 to the minus 6 times the kinetic energy of the electrons. And as far as the independent particle approximation is concerned, there are other problems which I will not go into. And of course, going back to the adiabatic approximation again, I also showed how there are breakdowns of the adiabatic approximation, and during the breakdown of the adiabatic approximation, what happens is that the nuclear motion is going to create an excitation of the electronic system, and this happens mainly in metals or superconductors and also in molecular systems when you are close to dynamic Jahn-Teller effect. The independent particle approximation has its own problems which we will come to later on, but right now what I have said today about Born-Oppenheimer approximation and the independent particle approximation should be sufficient background to start understanding energy band theories or the bands in solids from the bond picture. So, I will not insist that you should actually study what was shown in the previous lecture in detail, because that was basically for those who want to have some kind of rigor in the course. Okay, now let me come to the second approximation, which is the independent particle approximation. What I had was the crystal Hamiltonian was given by just the kinetic energy of a single electron which is moving in a crystal potential, and the crystal potential has the property that when I translate the system by a lattice translation vector Rn, then the potential remains the same, and this actually means that in this Rn is actually given by n1 times A1 plus n2 times A2 plus n3 times A3, where A1, A2 and A3 are the primitive translation vectors. Now, what I am going to do is solve this Hamiltonian for a simple problem of two hydrogen atoms, that is a hydrogen molecule. So, let us consider the hydrogen molecule, which consists of two atoms H1 and H2, and the Hamiltonian is what has already been mentioned. And now, as a basis, I use the simplest basis functions that I use are the 1s orbital on hydrogen 1 and 1s orbital on the hydrogen atom 2. So, using this, what I want to do is find the eigenstates of the Hamiltonian by minimizing the energy expectation value. So, my trial wave function is going to be psi equal to C1 phi 1 s H1 plus C2 Phi1S H2, and now what I will do is calculate this quantity psi H psi and psi psi. So, psi H psi is actually given by the following. It is given by all I need to do is put this C1 Phi1S hydrogen 1 plus C2 Phi1S hydrogen 2, and I am taking real functions, let me assume, so that I do not have to go for the complex conjugates of these functions. So, I have this plus C2 Phi1S H2, and this will turn out to be nothing but C1 squared Phi1S H1 Hamiltonian Phi1S H1 plus C1 C2 Phi1S H1 H Phi1S H2 plus C2 squared Phi1S H2 H Phi1S H2 plus C1 C2 Phi1S H2 H Phi1S H1. So, this is the full Hamiltonian written in long form. So, this I can actually write it in the fashion using a simpler case, like I can say that it is equal to C1 squared H11 plus C1 C2 H12 plus C2 squared H22 plus C1 C2 H21, where H11, H12, H21, H22 are known as matrix elements. And what I will do is, so this is the expectation value of psi H psi. Similarly, I can write down the expectation value of the overlap integral of psi, which is again given by C1 squared S11 plus C1 C2 S12 plus C2 squared S22 plus C1 C2 S21, where now the definition is the following: Sij is equal to integral Phi1S hydrogen atom I times Phi1S hydrogen atom J d cubed R. Okay, so that is the overlap integral. Now, if I look at the energy expectation value E, that is actually given by psi H psi divided by psi psi, and by the variational principle I need to minimize the energy expectation value E. So, I just have to minimize delta E by delta C1 equal to 0 and delta E by delta C2 equal to 0. If I were to do this, what I will get is the following: I will get a set of equations which I can write it as H11 C1 plus H12 C2 is equal to C1 S11 plus C2 S12 and H21 C1 plus H22 C2 equal to C1 S21 plus C2 S22, or I can write it in the matrix form, which is usually done, to say that Hc is equal to E times the matrix S times C, where C is this vector C1 C2 and H is the vector, rather the matrix, which is H11 H12 H21 H22, and similarly S is equal to S11 S12 S21 S22. So, I have two matrices and I need to solve this equation. So, in order to solve this, I will make a very simple approximation and say that S is actually a unit matrix. This is the approximation I make. So, that is not always true because there are orbitals on two different centers and they will overlap, but I can make as a first approximation that this is the one. So, that I have to solve this eigenvalue problem, which is Hc is equal to Ec, and in H I can say that H11 is actually equal to H22 because there is a certain symmetry in the hydrogen molecule, right. Whether you take atom 1 and atom 2 or you interchange the atom 1 and atom 2, it is one and the same. So, because of that H11 is equal to H22, and I have also chosen intentionally my orbitals to be real, so that H12 and H21 are equal to each other, and I will have the symmetry, real symmetric matrix, because I have chosen the real orbitals, so that H12 is equal to H21. So, when I do this, and I also do one more thing, that is I have to define an energy scale. The energy scale can be defined by setting H11 equal to H22 equal to 0, because these are nothing but the orbital energies of the 1s orbital on hydrogen atom 1 and that on 1s orbital on hydrogen atom 2. And since both the orbital energies are since both the hydrogen atoms are identical, I can take H11 equal to H22 equal to 0, in which case I get the following matrix equation, which is 0 H12, and here also I will write H12 because H12 is equal to H22, 0 C1 C2 is equal to E C1 C2, and I can solve this by writing out the characteristic equation, which is determinant minus E H12 minus E equal to 0, or I will get E is equal to plus minus modulus H12, okay. Or because they are same, I need not even use the modulus part because I have already assumed that they are real. So, I can actually write it just as plus minus H12, okay. So, this H12 in different contexts are called by different names. So, H12 in physics books you see is actually referred to as the transfer integral, or it is also referred to as the hopping integral, in the chemistry literature, particularly when you are dealing with say Huckel theory, H12 is referred to as the resonance integral, and usually written as beta. So, in physics it is always written as T, okay. The symbol that is used in physics is T for the transfer integral, and in chemistry literature it is called resonance integral and used as beta, okay. And you also have we can also have H11 or H22 if non-zero are referred to as orbital energies, So, epsilon is the the symbol that is used in physics. In chemistry they use the symbol alpha, which is actually the what they call the Coulomb integral, I think in this case, but I am not sure, but in any case that is what is used, alpha I. This is used in chemical literature. So, what we have done is we have got the energies. I started with 0 energy on the 1s orbital and hydrogen 1, and I started with 1s orbital and hydrogen 2, both of them are 0 energy. Then I brought them together, they started interacting and they formed bonds. The energy of this one is -1, okay, and this one is plus 1, where or minus T and plus T, whatever you want to use the symbols. Okay. And this is called the sigma 1s orbital, and this is called the sigma star 1s orbital. And because these are orbitals, you can fill the energy levels according to Aufbau principle, and if you do that, what you get is the hydrogen molecule thing. The hydrogen molecule state is actually the wave function is given by sigma 1s 2. This is the wave function of the many body wave function of the hydrogen molecule sigma 1s 2, and one has to be careful when you write the product wave function to take the antisymmetry into picture correctly. Now let us see what happens to, I have not given you the form of the orbitals. So if you look at sigma 1s is actually given by 1 upon root 2 if I normalize it, phi 1s hydrogen 1 plus phi 1s hydrogen 2, and if I take sigma 2s, then this is given by 1 upon root 2 phi 1s of hydrogen 1 minus phi 1s of hydrogen 2. So this is sigma star, sorry, this is not sigma 2s, but this is sigma star 1s. Okay, I have to correct it because it is sigma star 1s, because that is the anti-bonding orbital, molecular orbital that chemists talk about, and sigma 1s is the bonding molecular orbital that chemists talk about. So now if I want to picture them, how do I picture them? Okay, if I want to show how it depends upon the distance between the radial distance, then what I have is the, if I have a hydrogen atom here with the nucleus in the center, then the wave function of the hydrogen atom, as you move away from the center radially outwards, it will go as in this fashion. I have to write it symmetrically, and I beg your pardon for not being very accurate, but nonetheless this is the hydrogen atom 1s function. So if I were to write down sigma 1s, then what I will get is the following. This is on the hydrogen atom 1, and the hydrogen atom 2 is here, and this is the 1s of H1, and this is 1s of H2. Now you see that the wave functions are overlapping, and if I write down clearly the sum, then it may look something like this. Okay. So how does sigma star 1s look like? Sigma star 1s is the plus part of the hydrogen atom 1, and the other one is hydrogen atom 2. This is H1, this is H2. So the total wave function, if I plot, it will go like this. So this is the hydrogen atom 1 and hydrogen atom 2, this is the wave function. But of course we know that the hydrogen atoms, the 1s orbitals are also spherical. So if I use the spherical picture, then in that case I can write down sigma 1s as this spherically symmetric orbital, which is the 1s, and this has a sign of the wave function is plus, and the second one is also 1s and the sign of the wave function is plus. And if I look at sigma star 1s, then I have plus here and I have minus here, and this will be somewhere here in the middle is the nodal plane, which means that the wave function vanishes in the plane which is perpendicular bisector of the distance of the bond between H1 and H2, whereas in this case it does not happen. So now let us see the reason why the sigma 1s should have a lower energy than sigma star 1s. Okay, sigma 1s is lower in energy for two reasons. One, there is no node, okay, for two reasons. One, there are no nodes, so this means that the kinetic energy is low, the kinetic energy is low, because whenever you have a node the wave function is changing sign, and whenever the wave function changes sign its derivative changes sign, its derivative is large, okay. And when the derivative is large the second derivative also could be large, because and the second derivative is related to the kinetic energy term, because the kinetic energy is given by del square, and because of that the kinetic energy in this particular system is large. But on the other hand, if you look at in sigma star 1s is higher in energy, because there is a node, and kinetic energy is larger. So, because the kinetic energy is larger, so what you will see is that the sigma of star 1s should have a higher energy, and there is also one more reason why you have to worry about. The reason why you have to worry about is the following, that is, when you have the nucleus of hydrogen atom 1 here and nucleus of the hydrogen atom 2 here, the charge density distribution will be something like this. That means in this plane you have a large amount of charge in the bonding region between the hydrogen 1 and the hydrogen 2 nuclei, you have a very high charge density, whereas in the case of this is the sigma 1s case, in the sigma star 1s case what happens is that the charge density goes to 0 in the nodal region, okay. So, which means that in the sigma star 1s the electron that is there does not have the benefit of attraction by both the nucleus, by both the nuclei, whereas in sigma 1s, because in the bonding region I have a large charge density, I see that there is a the electron can benefit by the nuclear attraction of both the nuclei, and because of that the energy of sigma 1s will also be lower than that of sigma star 1s. So, the take home point is the following, that is, whenever I have a node or whenever I have a wave function which is nodeless like plus and plus, it is bonding, and plus and minus is anti-bonding, and bonding will always be lower in energy than anti-bonding. So, with this is a very brief introduction to the hydrogen molecular orbital theory, which is actually 12th standard chemistry or physics, whatever you think. Okay, now let us see what you can do when you go to 3 hydrogen atoms. So, what I will do is I will start with a system of 3 hydrogen atoms, and I want to build up progressively a huge ring of hydrogen atoms, and this huge ring of hydrogen atoms can actually be viewed as a one dimensional crystal of hydrogen atoms. So, to do that I am going to start with 3 hydrogen atoms or H3, which is actually an equilateral triangle that I have taken because I do not want to distort the system in any way. So, I have 1, 2 and 3 hydrogen atoms. Now, let us see, let us write down pictorially what should be the nodeless function. The nodeless function will be the following. So, this is one combination that you can have with 3 hydrogen orbitals. See, because when you have 3 hydrogen orbitals, which means you have got 3 linearly independent functions, because they are on different centers or on different hydrogen atoms. So, from the 3 atomic orbitals that you have, you can get 3 molecular orbitals, because what you are doing is actually forming linear combinations of these atomic orbitals, and you cannot have more number of linearly independent orbitals than what you started with when you make a linear combination of these atomic orbitals. So, you have 3 molecular orbitals. So, this is one molecular orbital I can write down, and another molecular orbital that I can write down is the following. I can have bonding on one arm and anti-bonding on the other arm, okay. And I can also have a similar situation which is bonding on the other arm and anti-bonding on this arm, okay. So, these are the 3 linearly independent atomic orbitals, I mean molecular orbitals that you can write down for hydrogen 3, okay. Now, let us see what should be the energies. So, here this energy should be, I mean actually just for the sake of schematics, okay, what I have done is I have used the same size of the orbitals on all the 3 atoms, which implies probably that the coefficient is the same in all the 3. But the coefficients are same in all the 3 only in the molecular orbital 1, and in MO2 as well as MO3 the coefficients are different, okay. So, that has to be borne in mind. You can get the coefficients actually by solving the problem which is actually given by the Hamiltonian matrix, which I will write down here. So, here you have to write down 0 T T, and then I have T 0 T and then T T 0. So, I have to take this as the Hamiltonian matrix and I have to solve for the eigenvalues and eigenvectors. So, it is quite easy to do, it is a 3 by 3. You can actually use any of the softwares that are there on the eigenvalue solvers that are there on the internet, and you can just feed this, and instead of T you can put 1, okay. In fact -1 or +1, it does not matter. Although I should say that the integral is actually -1 when you actually do the calculation of the integral, okay. But otherwise the eigenvalues are not going to change when you make it T -1 or T +1. There is a certain symmetry associated with it, which I will come to later on when it is necessary. Now, what you will see is this particular molecular orbital that I have here, this should have the lowest energy that you can think of, because there is no node, okay. There is no node in this particular molecular orbital. So, this must have the lowest energy, and if you look at these two, they should have the same energy. Now, the way I have written is the same sizes of the plus and the minus spheres, which is not the case. So, the energy does not cancel, that is you cannot say that you have one bonding, yeah, you can say that actually you have one bonding and 2 anti-bonding interactions, here also one bonding and 2 anti-bonding interactions. So, the energies, if you actually do the calculations, then the energies that you get are, this is -2T and these two are +T and +T, okay. So, just based on the nodal pattern of the functions, we could actually write down the molecular orbitals for 3 hydrogen atoms on a triangle, and we could show that the energies should be -2T, +T and +T. Now, let us see what we can do when we have 4 hydrogen atoms, again on a ring. So, I have 4 hydrogen atoms on a ring. So, this is H1, H2, H3 and H4. So, what are the molecular orbitals I can write? I can write down the following molecular orbitals, again disregarding the size of the lobes, because I am not going to be doing the calculations myself here. You can do it on the internet, you know, it is quite easy. I would actually advise you to do these calculations and have a feel for these numbers. So, what I get, or I can write down these molecular orbitals. So, this is the most bonding molecular orbital I can write down, and I can also write down the most anti-bonding molecular orbital, which can be plus, minus, minus, plus. So, whichever way you look at it, either the horizontal bonds or the vertical bonds, you will always find that the energy is going to be 0. Then there are 2 other molecular orbitals I can write down, which are plus plus, minus minus. This is actually bonding on the top and bonding in the bottom, but on the vertical columns H1 and H4 are antibonding and H2 and H3 are also antibonding. See, the bonding molecular orbitals means that the wave function has the same sign on both the orbitals. So, if both the orbitals are negative, it is still bonding, okay, but and if is as good as both the orbitals being positive, because what we are looking at is a charge density, and the charge density is given by the square of the wave function, and the square of the wave function does not depend upon the sign of the function itself. So, the function can be both plus plus or both minus minus, and you still have the same charge density distribution, and so the energy will be the same. There is another wave function I can write down for the molecular orbitals, which is plus minus plus minus. So, what you find in this one, in these two, are that there is a similar bonding pattern, except that in this case on the row between H1 and H2 it is bonding, H3 and H4 bonding, whereas here the bonding is between H1 and H4 and H2 and H3, but they are exactly identical. So, because of that, what happens is the energy that you will get will be, this will be minus 2T, this will be 0, 0 and plus 2T. So, they will be the energies. Again you can solve the matrix equation. The matrix equation for this one, this is for the 3 atom case that I have written, and H4 will have the following matrix: 0 T, 0 T, T, oh let me write it carefully so that I do not, T 0 T, T 0, 0 T, 0 T, then I have T 0 T 0. So, this is the matrix, because only between nearest neighbor atoms you are going to be having a non-zero matrix element, or the T, the transfer integral that one is talking about, is going to be non-zero only between nearest neighbor atoms. So, that is what is the approximation I have done. Again this is an approximation, and this is a simplifying approximation that I have done. So, if I do this, then the solution I get are these. Okay. So, I first wrote down the solution, but if you want you can always go back to the internet, do the solution on this 4 hydrogen atom or H4 molecule and get the energy levels for that. Now, just to continue with it, let me do for H6 just for fun. H6 is of course when I do the Hamiltonian for H6, I have a 6 by 6 matrix because there are 6 orbitals, and I have 0 T 0 0 0 T, and then I have T 0 T 0 0 0 0 T 0 T 0 0 0 0 T 0 T 0 0 0 0 T 0 T, and then T 0 0 0 T 0. So, this is the Hamiltonian. Okay. In fact, chemistry students who have done any Huckel molecular orbital theory would have seen that for the benzene molecule, when you are looking at just the p orbitals, so benzene molecule is very similar to H6, in the sense in H6 what you are doing is you are dealing with 1s orbitals, but in the case of benzene molecule, as an approximation to the Huckel to the energy levels using the Huckel model, the orbital that you use on each of the carbon atoms is only the 2pz orbital. So, you could do this, and if you did this, the energy levels that you will get are the most bonding. Again please be careful, I am not making any care, I am not taking any care as far as the coefficients are concerned. So, this is the most bonding case, and the least bonding case will be the one that is plus minus minus plus minus plus this is the least bonding, because all the overlaps that you are looking at between orbitals on neighboring atoms is actually anti-bonding overlap. So, this is going to be having the highest energy, and the one that is with all the bonding molecular orbitals is going to have the lowest energy, and then you can write down the various others. For example, you can write down plus 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 minus minus minus. I think this will correspond to 0 energy in a way. Sorry, this will not correspond to 0 energy, because I have to be very careful in actually looking at the sizes of the orbitals. So, there will be another state which is actually degenerate with that, and that will correspond to this one plus 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 minus 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 and so forth. Okay. So, you will also have 2 other states, the wave functions for that I do not write down, but you can actually write it down after you follow the next lecture. But in this particular case, I will just give you a simple rule by which you can get the energy levels of a ring of any number of identical atoms with only one orbital per side contributing to the interactions. So, to do that, what you do is you draw a circle of radius 2t, okay, and in this you inscribe a regular n-gon polygon, where the number of sides of the polygon is equal to the number of hydrogen atoms or carbon atoms that you are having. So, if you are looking at benzene, what you will do is you are going to put, if you put a benzene. So, let me make the circle actually inscribe better. So, I will do the following. So, the energy levels that you will get are minus 2t, minus t, minus t, plus t, plus t and plus 2t. Okay. Now, what I will do is I want to go into the case where I have a infinite number of hydrogen atoms, okay, but that I am going to deal with in the next lecture. So, you first have to take the take home point as far as this lecture is concerned is that whenever you have these orbitals and if they overlap to give you no node, then the energy of the interaction is going to be lower, and if there is a node, the energy is higher for reasons that I have already mentioned. Okay. So, I will go to the next lecture later.